Welcome everyone to our Intro to Intelligent Design class, where we will be exploring the complexities of life and doing so in a way that shows you just how wonderfully made you are and will give you a new passion for the life science field. And so by the end of this course, you will have so much more knowledge than pretty much anyone your age. And the goal is that you will be humble about this knowledge, because the truth of how complex we are is humbling. We still don't know everything about life. We cannot make life. We cannot create it in a lab. It's one of those things that only the Most High can do. And of course, mankind can alter existing life, but no one has ever, even with the given ingredients, made life. So we're going to go ahead and get started with a game of fact or fiction, just to see how much you know about life science or life in general, and get a better feel for how much we do and do not know in the scientific community. So fact or fiction is the name of the game. I'm going to show you a question, and you are going to determine or state a claim as to whether or not it is a fact or a true statement, or fiction, which means it is a false statement, a lie, something that I have just made up. And so without further ado, statement number one is: we have a clear photo of the double helix, also known as DNA. So that twisted ladder structure that you see on the screen, is this something we have a clear photo of? Go ahead and pause the video, write down your claim. If you want to give some evidence, you can, but go ahead and pause the video now. All right, so if you said we do have a clear photo of DNA, or the double helix, as you are trying to witness here as we zoom in on the chromosomes that contain DNA, the answer is actually fiction. We do not have a clear photo of the thing that they tell us has the code for life, a literal code made by the Creator. We don't have a photo of it. This is the clearest photo. You're looking at it right here. And if I told you this was a hair under the microscope, you would probably believe me, because that's the quality of an image we have. And this is not even the double helix you're looking at. The little red arrows here in the bottom right are pointing at coils of it, where they say it's wrapped around and wound up tight so it can fit in your cells, because DNA contains more information than the computer or device you're using in each of your cells. That's phenomenal. And so it would have to be wound up tightly or designed in a way that we just can't see, because life is that complex. So no, we do not have a photo of the double helix. It is still just a theory that it is shaped like a double helix. Anytime you see that shape, that twisted ladder shape, you are looking at a image or computer generated image. So an image is not to be mistaken for a photo. So anytime you see the word image, it can be misleading. So don't be tricked by that wording. An image is not an actual photo of something. And that brings us to question number two, and that is that scientists have taken the ingredients needed to make life and successfully created a living organism. So go ahead, pause the video, discuss your answers. You can discuss it with other classmates, family, or friends that are watching along with you, if there's anyone watching along with you, and record your answers now. All right, so if you said that they've taken these given ingredients, they've stole them from existing cells and pieced them together and made a living organism, you would be wrong. We have not ever, even with the given ingredients that can leak out of a cell, put them back together and made life. So that is fiction. but you will see articles like this one that say scientists have created the next generation of living robots. And they use that word create, and you picture them creating life, creating living robots. However, the lab results indicate when you read further into their stories that they aren't creating, but they are modifying cells, existing cells. In this case, it says they created novel, tiny self-healing biological machines from frog cells. In other words, they literally just snipped away at a frog cell and made it do something different than its designed function. And so now you have scientists taking credit for creating these living robots when they aren't creating anything. Mankind cannot create. All we can do is modify existing matter and existing life. That's what the days of Noah were like. They were modifying life. They weren't creating new life. And so you see the same things going on now, just like the days of Noah. They are modifying life like we have never seen in history since the literal days of Noah. So this brings us to number 3. Every species that exists has been found, identified, and named. So go ahead, pause the video, state your answer, and wait for the verdict. All right. If you said fiction because you are extremely smart, you're correct. This is fiction. Scientists have yet to discover all of the species that exist on the world. In the water specifically is one of the harder places. Why? Because it is so vast. This world is massive, and we are on an immovable world that contains a lot of life in our enclosed environment with the firmament above us. So all of these creatures, there are many of them, and the reasons we have difficulty finding them is even when you're exploring, the way they are designed is so masterfully done that they blend in with their surroundings. Like the organisms you see in the 2 pictures on the right, they are hard to spot. If you're swimming around, scuba diving, or in a submarine looking at marine life, these things are going to blend right in. They're probably not going to be moving and trying to stand out, and they look like the vegetation. Same thing for the rainforest. People can go to the rainforest and try to find creatures. There are creatures that look identical to things in nature, and it's not because they evolved that way. It's based on the genetic code that our Creator put in them at creation that maps their cells into a pattern when they develop and divide to shape them exactly into the shapes of things like leaves, sticks, moss growing on a tree. Like, these things did not evolve to look like that over time. Evolution is not a creator. Evolution, that word itself, just means change over time. Change over time can't create life, especially since we know that scientists can't create life given the ingredients. Change over time isn't going to do that ever. Not once in the history of ever have we witnessed change over time leading to something remotely close to life. When things change over time, they're usually degrading, and their value or functionality is being lost over time, never gained. All right, so number 4 in our fact or fiction game, this is another photo question. It says we have clear photos of every cell part or organelle. After all, these are far larger than DNA. So go ahead, state your claim, and pause the video. All right, if you said fact, I hate to tell you, you'd be wrong. We do not have clear photos of our cell parts. These things, again, are more than just blobs of plasma wrapped in a membrane. These things are phenomenal. Even with electron microscopes, they look a little fuzzy. They're not clear. You can't see the intricate parts of a cell membrane. You can't see the intricate parts of a mitochondria. Even the larger structures like the nuclei or the nucleus of a cell, these things are not clear. We rely on, again, animators to show us what it looks like. And this one here was released as the clearest image of what it looks like inside a cell. And when you see all these moving parts, all these different parts, this is based on data. Scientists at a university allegedly took data and created these images. And these images are colorful. They, of course, colorize them so that you can see the different parts. But these random parts that look like spilled confetti, when the creator puts things together, everything goes in a motion. None of these little cords or strings get tangled up. Everything is guided with an accuracy that is mind-blowing. In every one of your cells, there are things going on that we can't mimic with modern-day machines. And there's these cell parts, they don't have eyeballs. They don't have a brain in each little part that directs them where to go, but they go where they need to go by this force that is within them that we hear about in the Bible called the breath of life. When the Father breathed the breath of life and gave life to all the living creatures, that set things in motion that is continuing today. There's a lot of things about these cells that we still don't know. There's a lot of things about life we still don't know for that reason, because it's far more complex than things we could make with our bare hands. And when you look at cell division happening, like right here, this is one of my favorite videos of all time because it is not a computer animation. This is your cells dividing. They have to make copies of themselves. A lot of them do. They don't all make exact copies because you were once just one cell and now you're hundreds of different types of cells that make you who you are, came to where they are in miraculous ways that we don't understand. But here is cell division of a kidney cell. And this kidney cells, they are under a special dye. And the dye lets you see more accurately the breath of life in motion as these spindle fibers shoot out of these centrosomes. And so it's like the Spider-Man of the cell. They shoot out and they look like white glowing hands grouping up these chromosomes that come in pairs. We'll be learning about this later on in the class. But this is a guiding force in motion, grouping up these chromosomes, sorting them as if they're mating socks, and pulling them apart to where they have exact copies. That's the breath of life in motion. We can see that now with new technology. This is stuff we couldn't see 100 years ago or even 50 years ago. So new technology is allowing us to really get a better understanding of how intelligent design works, what it's capable of doing versus what we used to think it can do. It can do so much more. And so this brings us to number 5, that discoveries made in life science or biology have saved many lives. So is this a fact or is this fiction? Go ahead and pause and record your answer. Okay, so if you said fact because you knew that this is one of those classes that is life-saving, you are right. Life science and biology, all of those sciences that deal with life, many of them have saved lives because the more we understand about life and how our symbiotic relationships work, the more we can take steps to save lives and do things that are better. Eating organic foods, avoiding certain toxins, things that a lot of people in older generations just thought were normal to consume and were harmless. We're finding out that we can save lives by going back to a way of life that is aligning with creation, aligning with the guidelines we were given about trimming the fat off the meat, things that people aren't doing, and now heart attacks are increasing. So our understanding of life, how it works, is always helping to save lives. So when we go back to the Creator's instructions and follow His guidelines, honoring our parents, obeying our parents, that will help us stay alive. And the one who created life is the best one to get that information from. And so you can learn things from how to farm the land properly. And only now are we finding out that if you don't follow those instructions and give the land a year of rest, that it destroys the soil. But our Creator understands all of this. And so we're going to let His ways guide us in our understandings as we go and look through and see the negative side effects of altering life and doing things in ways that are not moral, and the disasters that follow require us to use and rely on life scientists or biologists to help get us out of these situations that could have been avoided had we just obeyed the Father's instructions. Okay, we're getting close to being done. Here's number 6. And this one says that being a scientist means that you never make mistakes and that all of your experiments yield results that support your hypothesis. So take a few moments to record your thoughts on this or record your answer and pause the video. All right. If you said that this is a fact, because of course scientists wear lab coats, they're very smart, they're educated, we look at them and put them up there on a pedestal, then you would have been wrong. This is fiction. Being a scientist means that it's okay to make mistakes and do things and be okay with learning from those mistakes. Don't keep making the same mistakes over and over. That's not what science is about. But making mistakes has sometimes led to some really cool discoveries. There's inventions out there that wouldn't exist if someone wasn't trying something and making mistakes. For example, here's a fun one. Dippin' Dots, the ice cream. If you've ever had that marvelous wonder, it's addicting, it's really good. That was made by an accident. Someone was trying to see what would happen when you rapidly freeze ice cream to make it, because of course we're not patient, and that's where this came into existence. They rapidly froze it and it made those little bitty dots, and those things are awesome. And no, I am not sponsored by Dippin' Dots. I'm just saying that accidents can create some really cool things, and that's the fun part about science. Someone like you investigating the truth about reality, you're probably going to find some things that prove intelligent design by sheer accident, just by looking at how complex life is. So here we go with the final one, number 7, and it says that since 1991, scientists have been finding soft tissues and red blood cells in what they thought were ancient dinosaur bones, which indicate that they are most likely thousands of years old instead of millions of years old, which means that they would align more with the Bible and the flood account than what we've been told. So is this fact, or is this something I made up to mislead you into believing the Bible? So go ahead, record your answer, and pause the video. All right. Now, this one is a shocker to most students I've ever taught. When I tell them the answer to this is fact, their minds are blown. Because the fact is, since 1991, paleontologists have found soft tissues when they dissolved sections of these dinosaur bones, or what we once thought were dinosaur bones. And this is something that is a game changer because it shows us some really cool properties of these things that indicate they are literally young bone fragments left over from pre-flood giants or corrupted flesh. Nobody's really sure exactly what they are because we don't even have an entire skeleton of these things that's out there. And so when you start looking up why we don't have entire skeletons, because after all, these creatures were said to be enormous and one of their bones would be the size of a couch or a small car. Why don't we have them all together? What could have moved them away? And the results on the internet tell you that, well, for some reason they washed away. And the washing away, in my opinion, would most likely require a flood that goes beyond just rainfall hitting the ground. It would take the floodgates of heaven or the firmament opening up and pouring out to wash away these giant bones. And so the story of these dinosaurs falls apart. However, sadly, when you see scientists discovering these things, like the one here, Mark Armitage in California, they get fired. They don't get promoted. And so that's what this class is going to be about, is promoting the hidden truth that brings about answers as to where we come from as created beings, individuals that are loved by the Most High. And so our quest is going to get interesting. We're going to be looking at stuff like this even deeper and hopefully getting people like this awesome, humble guy here, Mark Armitage, involved and have him come on and talk to you guys live. He's out in California and he talks to creation groups and education groups all the time and does a lot of his work, or all of it, really for free. And so this guy is awesome. I've reached out to him. He did say last year that he would talk to students that I had, so I'm sure he would still do that now. And so the journey is about to get real, and I hope that this little opener session will have at least sparked your interest into the things we're going to be learning about, and it's going to be a fun ride. I look forward to getting to know you guys and interacting with you all and answering questions you have, and hopefully getting some questions that I don't have answers to. Those are always fun. Teachers don't have all the answers. Scientists don't have all the answers. There's only our Father in heaven who has literally every single answer. And so that's going to be our source of understanding. And we just need to make sure that we stay humble, because becoming a wise person, like the Bible says, requires you to become a fool to the world. And so it's not easy. The things you're going to know and understand, your friends may take a while to understand. So I thank you guys for doing the part in humbling yourself and being kind to those who are still involved or trapped by worldly wisdom. Have compassion for them. We are getting to see things that are extremely important in these last days. And so you guys stay awesome, stay humble. Remember, like the Messiah said, the greatest in the kingdom of heaven are humble. And so that's why we have to be like small children and humble ourselves. He used a small child as an example. And so you all are not small children anymore. You all are turning into young adults. And so it's important you know about life, who you are, where you came from, what your purpose is. And so we'll be addressing a lot of that in this class. And this is a blessing. You guys are awesome, beloved creations of the Most High. And we'll see you around real soon.